Hey everyone, this is Nathan Conover from Nexus Youth and Family Services, and today we're going to be talking about how we can deal with anger and frustration. Now, it's common for emotions like frustration to occur during challenging times, right? When we find that we only have a little bit of patience or maybe none at all with people, and maybe we get upset over minor things. Anger and frustration are complicated emotions, and a lot of the time they may be what's happening and you can see it happening, but there may be actually a lot of things underneath the surface that are happening as well. So anger and frustration might stem from other feelings like disappointment, fear, and stress. So taking some extra steps to decrease your overall tension can often prevent these feelings of anger and frustration from getting even worse. Okay, so what are some practical things that you can do in order to help cope with anger and frustration? Well, the first one is simply to pause before you react to something stressful. So when you feel yourself getting worked up, feel yourself getting mad, frustrated, take a moment to just notice what it is you're actually thinking in that moment. Take a few deep breaths, count to 10 in your head, just by giving yourself a little bit of space and a little bit of time before you jump into a reaction, you can put some distance between yourself and whatever emotional reaction you might be having that's causing you to be upset. You might even realize that what you're actually tense about might be something that's not in front of you in that moment. Something else that you can do in order to help cope with anger and frustration is to physically remove yourself from the stressful environment. So changing your surroundings, right? Anger can sometimes make you feel trapped. And whether you're mad at someone that's in the same room as you, or maybe you're just angry at the world or something else, maybe that's not even in the room, sometimes physically relocating yourself can help you to start to calm down. Maybe you go into another room, maybe you go for a walk outside for just a few minutes of fresh air. Something can help you disrupt the track that your mind is on so that you can start to cope and those anger feelings can start to die down a little bit. Another thing that you could try is to just get it all out. Keeping your feelings bottled up never works. I think a lot of us have been there and we know this by now, but allowing yourself time to be angry and complain can be something that can be very cathartic and healing. As long as you don't focus on it for too long, all right? You don't want to dwell on it constantly, but you also don't want to bottle it up the entire time either. It's got to find that balance between venting and dwelling. And you can open up to a trusted friend. That's what friends, really good friends, are for, a safe person who you know and trust. Or maybe you write it all down in a journal. Sometimes it feels better to pretend like you're talking directly to that person by writing them a letter, or pick an empty chair, pretend that they're sitting in it, and say what you need to say in order to help get it off your chest. Releasing all that built up energy that comes with anger can also be a good strategy for helping to cope, because anger is a high energy emotion. We store that energy and all that tension in our bodies physically. This is why exercise has been proven to be a really great way to cope with stress, and help get rid of that tension and that energy in our body. There are some people who like to meditate or do deep breathing to help calm intense feelings. And then there are other people who need a high intensity activity, such as running or weightlifting, to really help with their anger. So think about what you usually do to decompress. Maybe it's take a hot shower. Maybe it's blasting your favorite music. Whatever tool works for you, lean into that in order to help release the energy that comes with anger. A lot of the time, it would appear that chaos does not help with feelings of anger. So one of the other coping tools that you can use is to just get organized, to employ structure in your routine throughout the day. It could be something as simple as cleaning your room or making your bed at the beginning of the day to start off on an organized note. Or maybe you dedicate a few minutes each day to just tidy up the house or plan out your day in your calendar or reorganize your room. Implementing a routine it just helps you feel more on top of things by adding structure, by adding an element of stability and certainty to your daily life. Something else you can do is simply to eliminate stressors when possible. Another way of saying this would be control what you can control. Sometimes there's no way to get rid of a big problem in your life. There are certain things that we don't have control over. But then there are certain things that we do have control over. And really lean into those things. Things like an overwhelming workload or unhealthy relationship can make you feel really on edge. Pay attention to how and why you're feeling stressed and see if there are any of these things in those categories that you can control, that you can change, that you can make a tiny little change to help make your life slightly more manageable and help mitigate those feelings of anger, frustration. Expectations can also play a pretty big role in feelings of anger and frustration. Negative feelings in general, in fact, often stem from people or situations not meeting our standards, not meeting our expectations. And it can be frustrating and to have this feeling of feeling let down. But you have to recognize that you can't predict everyone else's behavior. And like I said in the previous slide, we don't have complete control over every single situation in our lives. So being able to have the ability to shift your mentality so that you aren't setting yourself up for disappointment by having expectations that might be somewhat unrealistic. Finding an expectation that holds yourself to a high standard while still being able to understand that there are certain things that we can't control is a good balance. One very underrated coping tool for anger and frustration is simply to ask for help. We can't do it alone. You know, we may be able to utilize all the coping skills that we've talked about, and it may work to some degree or for some amount of time. But at the end of the day, if we don't have people who are helping us through these problems, it's probably not going to be sustainable. Okay, so if you're working to cope with your anger, but you feel like you just can't get it under control, it's time to get extra support. Anger can become pretty explosive if it's not resolved. And there's a number of mental health conditions that can manifest as anger. So there are certain times where anger is actually a sign of something much deeper that might be happening. It might be depression, it might be anxiety, or any number of other underlying health conditions. So by helping treat anger, you can help figure out what it is that's actually going on, and you can help make your life way, way better just as a whole. One fast fact about dealing with anger and frustration, provided by Mental Health America, is that of people who took an anxiety screen at mhascreening.org in 2020, 71% felt easily annoyed or irritable at least half of the time, or nearly every day. Another fact here is that of people who took a bipolar screen in 2020, 82% reported being so irritable that they shouted at people or started fights or arguments. So both of these facts clearly show us that a lot of people are struggling with this issue. Another interesting fact from Mental Health America, one poll found that 91% of respondents said that they feel people are more likely to express their anger on social media than they are face to face. And since we are in a digital age and communicate so heavily on the internet, it's pretty striking to see that more than 9 out of 10 people that responded to this survey said that they're more likely to express anger over the internet instead of when they're in front of a person. Thankfully, anger doesn't have to rule our lives. And so these coping skills that I've talked about can help. And even though the statistics on anger that I just read can be a little bit startling, there's still plenty of resources to be able to use as well. One being I Get Mad at Little Things from podbean.com. Tell someone you're mad, or I'm really angry at the world. Podbean.com has plenty of resources for you guys to utilize. And then, not 100% sure how to say this, but it's EQUOO. It's a game that teaches individuals the psychological skills in a fun and captivating way to be able to deal with some mental health stressors in a way that's actually healthy and productive. Okay, and then Happify is brings effective tools and programs. So they've got an app and they've got a website, and it helps you take control of your feelings and thoughts using evidence-based techniques from leading experts in the field, positive psychology, mindfulness, CBT, all good things. And then the Not Okay app is a free app that takes the guesswork out of asking for help when you're feeling vulnerable. Another resource for you guys is this worksheet all about managing frustration and anger. And it kind of just lays it all out in a very straightforward way. And the top one, you would describe the event or identify the specific things that someone said or did, basically the cause of your anger and frustration. And then there are 4 other boxes beneath where you list out any emotions that you think might be underlying your feelings, because as we've said, sometimes anger is just the tip of the iceberg and there's some other things underneath. What parts of the description above are focused on facts? Which ones are focused on actions or behaviors instead of something that you might be jumping to a conclusion about? And then the bottom 2, what can you do to feel better? What are some solutions here? And then what do you need someone else to do to help you feel better? So taking responsibility of yourself, but then also recognizing that someone who might be causing you anger or stress, they might need to play their part too. And then the next time you feel angry or frustrated, you can walk yourself through these steps in order to help yourself feel better again. And they break it down at the very bottom of the page. 3 easy ways, 3 easy questions to lead you to a healthier spot is what happened, what do I feel, and what do I need? This is the end of the video. This is all I have for you guys. So please like, subscribe, and share. We're over here at Nexus Youth and Family Services in Jackson, California. Here's our address. Here's our number if you want to get in touch with us. If you need any help or any services, we're here for you. Thanks for watching.